Greetings, fellow book enthusiasts. Welcome back to Timeless Tales and Thoughts, and happy July 4th. 250 years since we adopted the Declaration of Independence. How exciting! What a special, momentous occasion today is, and I am totally here for it. This is my favorite period of history, the colonial era leading into the American Revolution and founding of our nation. I mentioned before in other videos that I am an absolute history nerd, history geek, but if I am being honest, this is my time period. This is it. I go absolutely crazy for anything within the time frame of the late 1700s colonial through the founding of the official founding of our nation, the Constitution, and getting our presidents set up in our first government. And so this is an incredible moment for me today to actually be alive to celebrate 250 years of this American experiment that our founding fathers and mothers set course um, to create, and they put everything on the line to put this nation together. I take this day every year to remember that that this day is for looking back and remembering what these men and women gave up, what these men and women risked to bring this nation to fruition. Wow. I'm hopeful that our founding fathers and mothers' ideals and thoughts will carry on and continue for hundreds, thousands more years. All right, so being that this is my favorite period of time in history, I have a ton of books on the subject. And I just wanted to share with you today some of my absolute favorites, fiction and nonfiction. I am excited, so excited, you have no idea, to share these with you today. So I'm gonna turn this video around in a couple of minutes, or turn the camera around in a couple of minutes, and share with you some of my absolute favorite fiction and nonfiction books from the time period to learn about the people that were part of the war, part of our American experiment efforts, and some of the places. So let's get to it. Okay, I decided I was going to start with my historical fiction stories because those are the ones I have the least of. I'm not going to go into too much detail on each book, just kind of share them with you briefly. So let me know in the comments if there's any of these that you want me to take a separate video on and do a full book review about. The Mount Vernon Love Story by Mary Higgins Clark and Eliza Hamilton already have their own separate videos. So real quick, probably one of the first books that started me into this time period of the American Revolution was the American Girl series. Felicity, young girl on the cusp of the American Revolution, and she has to navigate life through the taxes and the boycotts and the beginning of the revolution. Mount Vernon Love Story, obviously the story of George and Martha Washington. If you want more details on that book, I have a video already set up. Eliza Hamilton and the life of Alexander and Eliza Hamilton through the eyes of Eliza. Again, I already have a video for that one if you are interested. The Hornet's Nest by Jimmy Carter takes a look at the American Revolution in the Southern colonies, North and South Carolina and Georgia. And America's First Daughter focuses on the eldest daughter of Thomas Jefferson, Martha Jefferson Randolph. And the story is told through her point of view from a young child following her father to France and through his presidency. Great stories. I loved all of them in their own special way. All right, let's take a look at some of the nonfiction books that I have about the American Revolution. Okay, I decided I should split my nonfiction books because there are quite a few of them. So I decided to split them into two categories, geared more toward children and geared more towards your teenager, adult, or just person who needs to do some research for a research project, college, etc. All right, so those first ones here are the ones that are geared more for children. Let me take a little closer so you can see. Yankee Doodle America is actually kind of an alphabet book, and it goes through the alphabet and the American Revolution. It's super fun. Heroes of 1776 goes through the story. The Secret Soldier, this is an old book, but it's the story of Deborah Sampson, who famously took her brother's place on the front lines and fought with Washington's army for months before anybody realized she wasn't her brother. And then there was this series here. Again, these are some older books. Cornerstones of Freedom, story of the Declaration of Independence, Old Glory, the Boston Tea Party, Valley Forge, and the Constitution. It's all part of a Cornerstones of Freedom series. I took a quick look in these. These were all published in the 80s, so they may be difficult to get a hold of if you're looking for them. But again, if there's any of these that you are interested in a more detailed video about, please drop that in the comments and I will. Need a nonfiction book for a research project? Here's a lot of great suggestions. Interested in just learning about the American Revolution itself? These are also some great suggestions. Going through my books, I actually thought I had a lot more, but these are definitely some I would highly recommend. And again, as I go through these, if there's anything that sparks your interest that you want me to do a separate video on, please drop that in the comments and I will make that happen. Let's take a closer look. We have the Revolutionaries. About the American story. Alexander Hamilton is a biography of Alexander Hamilton. I do have a video for his story already. So if you're interested in Alexander Hamilton, just check on back to some of my past videos. You will see that. Washington's Spies, the story of America's first spy ring. I really found that book to be quite interesting. Fun fact, George Washington and his spy ring created invisible ink. How cool is that? Washington, a Life, biography of George Washington through his life as a child, through his presidency, and ultimately his passing away. This one back here that looks like it belongs in a library, Eyewitness Accounts of the American Revolution, is actually excerpts of a diary of a young lady who lived during the American Revolution. Her name was Dorothy Dudley. I love this series, not just for the American Revolution, but other places as well. I have a ton of this series in the Images of America. So for American Revolution, I have Valley Forge and Washington's headquarters in Newburgh. You'll notice a theme here. But then again, when you grow up 5 minutes from a place that George Washington lived, you tend to want to know what he was doing there. And it's very interesting. George Washington in New York. Of course, we can't forget our founding mothers. This was a great story about the ladies behind all of our founding fathers, the men, and all their wives, sisters, mothers, daughters, founding brothers, the story of the men who founded our nation. And yes, because I am that type of geek, I actually own a copy of Common Sense. Picked that up on a trip to North Carolina a couple of years ago, actually. Yeah. So in case you didn't know how much of a geek I was before, now you do know. And so I hope you found something in my collection of American Revolution stories that you found interesting, and maybe we'll go pick up for yourself and read and learn, educate yourself, because that's part of our book journeys too, not just getting away in a fantasy land. Sometimes we need to learn and educate ourselves about the things that happened in our past. On that note, I hope everyone out there has a happy and safe 4th of July. Be careful with those fireworks if you're shooting them off later tonight by yourself and not going to see them done by some professional. Please, please, please be careful, be safe, and please like my videos, subscribe to my channel. Got a lot more coming, and happy reading.